Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Frankie Goes to Hollywood tonight from Dr. Neptune. This is where it all started for me. Oh, sorry for the shaking. Okay, I'm excited because this is where it all started for me in terms of collecting. I'll show you in a minute the one thing that started me off on wanting special editions and whatnot. But first, it all starts with the music, which I loved from the start. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. This is their first album, their double album, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Came out in 1984. This was a formative period in my life for being impressionable to new music, and I loved everything I heard from them. Here, this back cover artwork is an animal orgy, and with the contact points blotted out by those green splotches. But you get the idea. Frankie was very aggressive in their sexuality. Two members were gay, openly gay, as they said at the time. Here, the inner cover, some sort of Noah's Ark reference. Animals 2x2 entering what looks like the shaft of a giant penis. And Frankie's music was accompanied by all this, not only this crazy artwork, but they were a very literary band, which I loved. They had all kinds of quotes like this. I get buzzed off the fact that Andy Warhol's heard of us because he gets buzzed off the fact that Picasso had heard of him. I don't know if any of that's true, but it's beautiful and funny and perfect for Frankie. So there's their album cover, and then it was a double album, so inside you would have here, and this is the first, I think maybe the only album I ever saw that has a reading list right here. All these works, mostly of European literature. And I've read maybe half of these works because of this list. Really remarkable that they would put that on there. And they had all kinds of provocative quotes and things from themselves and from others. They also had a brilliant marketing strategy. This, I believe, is an actual thing, an order form for these items, t-shirts and whatnot. The male model there is Paul Rutherford, a member of the band. The female is Claudia Brukin from Propaganda, who I'll talk about right at the end of this show and tell. But I do believe these were for real available, and if there are any out there, I'm sure they're collector's items now. And then here's more portraits of the band members and quotes. This one I've always thought about. Brian Nash was the guitar player, and if he said this, he says that basically something we've done will go down as an all-time classic. Well, it did for me. I'm sure for a lot of other people, but it makes me feel like all kinds of music and art can be considered like that. So whatever seems stupid or weird or useless is important to somebody else. And that's one of the things I love about all art. Here's a Japanese edition of Frankie. And it's got the 4 singles from the album and remixes. Okay, and so here's the item that started off my collecting. This is a picture disc. It's part of a double disc set. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Alright, so it's the same album as what I just showed you, but in picture disc format. When I bought this in about 1985 or 6, it wasn't brown. It was see-through clear vinyl. And for comparison's sake, I pulled something from another part of my collection here. This is what it used to look like. this beautiful transparent white or transparent color. So I am kind of heartbroken that it just doesn't look like that anymore. Some of the colors still you can see, but it used to look a lot better. Anyway, that it caught my eye, of course, in the record store, and I love how it says a souvenir. So I got that, and then I started looking for all kinds of other Frankie memorabilia. And I really think that was the seed of my interest in special editions and picture discs and all of the other things that I'm putting in these videos. Okay, so then the singles from the Frankie album, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, started with Relax. This is the famous cover that got it banned in the UK. What can you say about that? This is the 12-inch version. One of the things Frankie really advanced in mainstream culture was the 12-inch remix. They had so many different remixes of all their singles, and you'll see that's a large part of my collection. That had been done before in other genres like disco, but as far as a mainstream pop act doing that extensively remix project, Frankie was right at the forefront. So there are many different versions of all these songs. So here's Relax. And then with the picture discs, starting with the Welcome to the Pleasure Dome double picture disc, I started to try to collect all of them. And I believe I have all of the Frankie Goes to Hollywood picture discs. So there are 7-inch discs, which is this. Here's Relax. Same cover art. And these are actual vinyl singles and albums that you can play. And then here's the 12-inch of Relax. From one of the several videos they made for the song. There's Holly Johnson, the singer, Paul Rutherford, the backup singer and dancer, and what looked like a couple of drag queens or other types on stage. I believe this is from one of the, it is from one of the videos. Notice the sperm motif carried through on the rest of it. And then here's a much tamer American release of the Relax 12-inch single. Like the picture, though, the group on top of some building in New York. And then their follow-up to Relax was Two Tribes. Here's still from the video, which is our actors playing Ronald Reagan and, I'm going to say, Chernenko. They changed leaders a lot in the USSR at that time. But they wrestled each other here in the pit. And Two Tribes was a large part about nuclear annihilation. So here's a lot of very serious-looking graphs and statistics. War they also put on here, which is a remake of the old Edwin Starr Motown song, War, What Is It Good For? All right, so Two Tribes, and then here's the 7-inch picture disc. Interesting costuming there. They look like Soviets officers. And then here, similar information about nuclear weapons. And then here's the 12-inch version. I love this picture. This is really kind of a tender moment between Paul Rutherford and this little kid. Kid's wearing a shirt. Frankie Say War, Hide Yourself. These were iconic in the mid-'80s. Another part of Frankie's marketing arm. And still from the video. Okay, and then in late 1984, they followed up those two singles with their third number one in the UK, The Power of Love. This came out right at Christmas time, 1984. And their first three singles, Relax, Two Tribes, and Power of Love, all reached number 3 which had not been done in the UK since Jerry and the Pacemakers did it back in the 60s. And Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Jerry and the Pacemakers are both from Liverpool. Frankie covers Jerry and the Pacemakers' song Ferry Across the Mersey. And so I like how that came around. And then the next British act to beat that record of their first singles being number one was the Spice Girls in the late 90s. And they did it 6 times in a row. So good for them. Thank you, Wikipedia, for that. A little bit of research I did today. So here's The Power of Love. This is a ballad, an orchestral ballad, very sweeping and dramatic. Came out at Christmas time. The video had imagery of the nativity, very deeply reverent sounding. A big shift in what they had done before, but a beautiful song. So there's the 12-inch of that. And then here, because it was Christmas time, here's the 7-inch picture disc with the holly leaves. And there's a still, these are stills from the video, I think, where they're looking, again, really reverent. And here's the 12-inch picture disc. Holly leaves replaced by one of the symbols of Frankie. There. And then their 4th and final single from this album was the title, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. This has a great version of Relax live. Also Get It On, T-Rex cover. And the picture disc for this is an apple with the stem. So it's a 7-inch disc. Love the shape there. Kind of a Garden of Eden theme in some of their imagery. Okay, and then other editions I have of Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Here's a CD version from back in the day. You can see all beat up. Slightly different track listing. This one has the song Happy High in place of San Jose. I don't know why. San Jose is on the LP versions that I just showed you. And that's the cover of the old Dionne Warwick song. Happy High is a Frankie Goes to Hollywood song. So there's that edition, and then here is a reissue from the early 2000s with some extra songs on there, some of the remixes. Great booklet inside to give some historical background. This is one of my favorite items. This is a cassette tape pleasure pack. Made in Canada only, which I think is funny also because some of my subscribers will recognize that Pleasure Pack was what Molson Brewing Company called their mixtures of beer, like Golden and Export. So this is the Frankie Pleasure Pack. Here's their symbols. Sex plus war plus love plus religion times Frankie equals bang. And this is a timeline of some of their history, and you can see Relax Goes Gold in Canada. So this was especially tailored to the Canadian market. I believe I bought this in Canada, probably at a record store in Niagara Falls. Okay, yeah, so there's the cassette version. And a cassette single version of Relax. And 2 Tribes. Okay, and then we've got the Relax. I believe this is an import set single. Another version of it. Made in Germany. And then their follow-up album, Liverpool, their second and final album, was a disappointment when you come out with such a bang like the first one. Really hard to live up to expectations, and the band was kind of fracturing, and they really just fell apart. But some good songs on Liverpool anyway. Notably, I'd say Rage Hard, their single. Is Anybody Out There is a really good ballad. Watching the Wildlife is good, but really sort of average music compared to what they had done before. Here's a 12-inch of Rage Hard. They do a cover of David Bowie's song Suffragette City here, which is good. And then I have this is the remake edition, similar to the Welcome to the Pleasure Dome one, with additional songs. Worth listening to, yes, but again, really not something that I go to when I want to hear Frankie. It's always Pleasure Dome. And it's been a long time since Frankie broke up, so there's a lot of greatest hits albums and things. So here's one of them called Bang. And this Sex Mix is the title of one of their best remixes of Relax, the 16-minute version, where they completely deconstruct the song. If it's available, it's probably available streaming. I would definitely check that out if you like the original. And then here's another greatest hits collection, including a lot of their remixes. And I have the DVD to go along with it for their iconic videos. And then I have a couple of things that are associated with Frankie, kind of in the same family. Their record label was ZTT. Their producer was Trevor Horn. Who was a musician himself, a member of Yes in their popular 80s time, and then also in his own group, The Buggles, which was the first video on MTV. There it is. And this is a collection of songs that he produced over many years, including Frankie. So you see a lot of names you recognize there. And so Art of Noise and Propaganda are the two other acts that I have pieces of here in my collection. I only have this greatest hits from Art of Noise. They are fantastic. Beatbox. And Moments in Love. You know those songs even if you don't know their names. I'm close to the edit. Trevor Horn was also a member of Art of Noise. Great group. And then Propaganda, a German group, also produced by Trevor Horn, also on ZTT. This is their first album. I don't think they lasted very long either. This is the only album I have of theirs other than collections. But I have it in the album and the CD from back in the day and the reissue CD and a collection of remixes including Femme Fatale from the Velvet Underground. Fantastic song. P Machinery is probably their best known song. And then Claudia from Propaganda, the model from the Frankie sleeve that I showed earlier. That's her. She went on after Propaganda with a solo career, and this is a greatest hits. This Is Not America, a David Bowie cover, In Dreams by Roy Orbison. And then finally, the record company itself, ZTT, Zang Tum Tum, home of Frankie and Propaganda and Art of Noise. They put out this around that time, had a couple extra tracks, Disneyland by Frankie, one of their best. And a live version of Born to Run. That's their cover of the Bruce Springsteen song. And then some other rarities. Here's the remix reissue of that with an accompanying DVD, which an amazing document, live performances by many of these acts. And then finally, there's a couple collections from ZTT, The Art of the 12-inch, including many Frankie classics. There's the Sex Mix of Relax, for example. Here's Volume 2. Volume 3. ABC, another big act on ZTT. And a box set. 3 discs and a DVD of videos. The discs are in a different, separate place. Booklet. ZTT. Seal. Also big with them. There's the Frankie picture disc. There's an Art of Noise. There's another Frankie. There's what the Welcome to the Pleasure Dome picture disc looked like. And there's Relax. Grace Jones. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the tour of Frankie and the related acts on ZTT. Dr. Neptune signing out. I'll be back soon.